Brian, was just talking to you about something a little more positive at this point, but it seems like you were part of a pretty interesting experience last night with a group of fighters trying to come back to the host hotel on a bus that is kind of caught up in the midst of a protest. A little bit of a dangerous situation. We saw Jamahal Hill, your client, put out some stuff on his social media. Can you just tell us what happened from your perspective?
We were coming back from a UFC fan experience appearance at Novella nightclub or something, and we just got pulled up to a stoplight and we saw the parade of people coming, and we saw all these flags, and then we were like, oh man, we're about to get stuck in this. So people were saying, go, step on the gas, step on the gas. People started trickling over because we were at the very front. So I think they were curious because it's a big Sprinter van, so they came up and they started putting the signs and stuff on the window, and then they got to look inside and they could see there was UFC security in there, and they're like, oh, UFC people. And then they started saying stuff like, just mob mentality stuff, nothing other than that sheer energy that was going on. And then there was like, UFC people are bitches, UFC this and that, and then that kind of infuriated Jamal. Jamal started seeing red, so it was a issue trying to get him calmed down, but it started escalating pretty quickly. And I guess, you really kind of had to be there, but it went from zero to having the whole vehicle surrounded and banging on it. The windows started breaking, and then Jamal said he saw someone pull out a knife and they slashed all our tires. So it was just it could have been a very bad situation, but it ended well. And I do have to say that the UFC security and staff was on point. The people that are on the bus with us were calling for backup. It was tough to get to us because there were so many people, but eventually Elliot and the rest of the UFC security staff came on foot, and with also New York City police, and they cleared a path for the Sprinter to get across the intersection. And everybody got off the bus at that point because the tires were slashed, and we walked the rest of the way. But everybody ended up being safe, and it was an experience.
Yeah, that's scary. So it was like, who was all on there? It was yourself, UFC staff, Jamahal Hill, Cory Sandhagen, and Robbie Lawler?
Robbie Lawler, Cory Sandhagen. Robbie had probably one of the most Robbie Lawler moments. Apparently, Ozzy was sitting with him, and Robbie was sitting in the seat, and he was just saying, conserve your energy, conserve your energy. If these doors open, we're going to need every ounce of it. And, and it was just very Robbie because he was sitting there still, Meanwhile, on the other end of the van, Jamal is getting very irritated with people. And once Jamal calmed down, everything was good. But I think what people don't understand is they're seeing the video before we knew it was going to get crazy. And then when it got crazy, there was no video. And then Jamal went live when everything kind of calmed down. So a lot of stuff's being taken out of context. People are saying things like, we tried to run people over. That's not true. People were trying to say stuff that, we were scared and act in certain ways. That's not true either. It's just, it was a very crazy situation, and I think it was handled by everybody on the buses as well as could be done.
Weirdly enough, you're not, I guess, a stranger to these weird bus dangerous moments. You were on the bus with, that Conor McGregor attacked several years ago in Brooklyn. Did you have, like a flashback moment? I know it's completely different circumstances and stuff like that. That was about targeting someone specifically on that with Khabib, but to be caught in another moment like this, is it just, I don't know, what was kind of like the thought process there too?
I've been some funny moments with the UFC, but it didn't pop into my head. I think it wasn't until afterwards that I think it might have been Dean or somebody said, you've been in the Conor bus and then the robbery in Brazil, and then so they're joking around, look, it's you. But no, that didn't pop into my head really until they pointed it out afterwards. But yeah.
And, you seem a bit irritated by, I guess, the reaction. You talked a little bit on there. Is there anything that you kind of want to clarify, or anything you feel needs to be addressed in that regard?
So there are people saying like, oh, your manager is a pussy because he's telling you, hey, Jamal, this is a moment in history. I wasn't saying this is a moment in history. I was trying to use anything I could to calm Jamal down. So I was like, Jamal, this is a very strange time in our history, and this is not a standard road rage situation, is what I was trying to impress, And like I said, my goal was to try to just diffuse him, because I was more concerned with what was going on outside the vehicle, and then having to worry about something going on inside the vehicle was just too much, double stress. So I was trying to calm him down and say anything I could to just kind of paint the picture to him real quick that this is crazy shit happening, and this is not road rage, get out of the car, knock someone out and get back in. Right. If that door opens, we could be all fucked up, so yeah.
Yeah, and obviously people need to understand you're a manager. Your first obligation is to protect your client and act in the best interests of your client, and obviously that's what you're trying to do in that moment.
I was trying to act in the best. At that moment, it wasn't just about Jim. It was about everybody in the bus was trying to react in a manner to keep everybody in the bus safe. Not just me, but everybody was just, and it happened really fast, man. Like it was a small bus to be rocked around in that thing, and yeah, it was just. Everybody was just trying to be safe.
Yeah. So you mentioned it happened really fast. How long do you think this entire sequence lasted?
Gosh, I haven't even processed that yet, because I know that it seemed like slow and it seemed fast at the same time. I couldn't tell you. Maybe 10 minutes, maybe 20. I don't know. We were there for quite some time, because I know that the UFC security that was on the bus with us was calling for backup and calling the New York City police to try to come and get us, to clear a path for us. And it seemed like it took a long time for anyone to get there. I think the first person we saw was UFC staff, UFC security, like Elliot and all of them, that carved through the crowd. But I could be wrong. It was all kind of happening.
Definitely glad that you guys ultimately came through it safe. Is there anything else that you feel, needs to be addressed or talked about when it comes to this? I mean, again, I think the priority is that you guys all came out of this safe, so credit to what your role was in the UFC, getting to you guys as well.
I just think it was an unfortunate situation, and, luckily everybody is safe, and like I said, it's a crazy time in, what's going on around the world right now, so things are volatile, and I don't know. It's unnecessary, but some people think it is necessary. But that type of reaction, I don't think is ever warranted. Where you're doing stuff like that to people on the sidelines and stuff like that. If you're going to protest, but don't do that type of stuff.